Happy Wednesday. I am so excited to be here today at 12 o'clock. How about that? Isn't that so exciting? At 12 o'clock. So this is a different time than my normal Facebook Lives. I just got a message from a couple of people that just said they were going to hop on later. So I'm trying different times, different days for my Facebook Lives to see who's coming, who's not, what days work best for everybody. And so today I'm trying a lunch hour on a Wednesday. We'll see how it goes. If this is a good time for you in general, let me know. If this is not a good time for you in general, let me know. And of course, I'm eventually just going to have to pick a time, right, for these videos. But anyway, hi everybody. So I wanted to hop on into a Facebook Live this week that's a little less structured, right? All week long, we've been talking about using Facebook to build your business. And so on Monday, we started the conversation, right? I asked a question: how many people had something happen for their business because of Facebook? Hi, Alvin. Hi, Susie. Hi, Michelle. So how many of you have had something happen to your business or for your business because of Facebook? How many of you have gotten a client? How many of you have gotten, how many of you have gotten a client? How many of you have gotten an opportunity? How many of you have gotten something that has grown your business in some way through Facebook, right? If you're watching on replay, go ahead and let me know that as well. Let me know whenever you're watching. And the answers were really incredible. So if you missed the post, go find that post and read what people said. But there is no doubt that Facebook is a huge source of potential business in a variety of ways. But then I expanded on that, right? I really wanted to show people the value of what exists on Facebook in general for growing a business. So Michelle said, me, like Michelle has, right? So part of it is, yes, we can get clients and we can get opportunities, and that helps us grow our business, right? But then in the post yesterday, I talked about resources and other things that people normally don't think about that can help them grow their business. So today's post highlighted, right? Today's post highlighted all of these free resources that are in this group, in the All-In Entrepreneur, that can help you grow your business. But I didn't just list the resources. I did it by listing actual testimonials and results of members who have let me know, hey, Rita, I watched this video and then I did the things you said and here's the result that I had, or I listened to this podcast episode, or I read this post, right? So I started highlighting those and I started getting messages from people saying, I didn't know this stuff was here, right? I haven't really been paying that much attention, or I haven't noticed what's out and about in this group. So thank you for highlighting that, right? So that made me want to come on and talk in general around, especially Facebook, but creating connections online, because when I suggested some of the ways that you can go about creating real, authentic connections with people online, people were like, I don't do that. I haven't done that. I've never thought about doing that. Oh, I should do a better job of that, right? So I'm hearing on one hand, Facebook doesn't work. Can't grow your business on Facebook. Online stuff doesn't work. It's saturated. It's too noisy. No. But then when I dig into it and I ask people, well, how are you using it? For example, we'll stick to Facebook for this, right? But how are you using Facebook to grow your business? Right, then I hear, well, I'm posting on my business page, right? So that'll be one thing I hear. So if any of these sound like you, chime in, let me know, right, that one of these is you. But so I hear things like, oh, I don't really use Facebook groups. I only have a business page. So how many of you are like that? How many of you don't use Facebook groups, but use your business page? Say yes or type 1 or something in the comments below. Sorry, I'm looking at comments on my phone because I'm not seeing them on the screen. For some reason, I have to look at them on my phone. So, but who here only has a Facebook business page? All right, cool. Now I can see them on the screen. All right. Who has a Facebook business page? Do you use it, right? How many of you are in groups? How many of you are in Facebook groups, and how do you use them? So again, the way that this came about is I've been talking about making connections online, and then people were like, I never do any of these things. They're like, then how are you spending your time online? And I'm like, no wonder you think it doesn't work, right? So I'm gonna like go in today on some ways that you can build real, authentic connections and you can collaborate online, mainly specifically Facebook. But I would like to know, it would be very helpful, who already does that and how do you do that? Are you using a business page for your Facebook? Are you in Facebook groups? Are you on Instagram? Like, where are you? What are you doing online to already build authentic relationships, right? So if you can share that information with me, that would be really helpful. So what are people doing? When people are throwing up their hands and they're like, Facebook, it doesn't work. I barely get any business. It seems like a waste of time. I'm in Facebook groups, but I'm not getting any results. Nobody sees what I'm writing, blah, 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 right? Here's what I find that they're doing. Okay, so now we're talking about Facebook groups specifically, like this one, the All-In Entrepreneur. When I ask people what they're doing, they're like, well, I'm writing posts and I'm posting them, right? And I'll say, well, how frequently are you posting them? Like once a week, maybe once a day, usually once or just twice a week. And I'm writing these posts and I'm not getting any results, right? So then I'll have to dig even more. I'll be like, all right, well, tell me about these posts that you're writing, right? So they're like, okay, well, and I'm not talking about leading a Facebook group right now. I'm talking about being in a Facebook group right now. So if you, like you, being a member of this group, right? So then they'll say, okay, so I'm writing some posts and I'm putting them out there 1 to 3 times a week on average, and nobody's responding, so Facebook doesn't work. I'll say, well, what are you writing in these posts, right? Well, I'm just advertising my event. I'm saying there's this great event and it's happening and you should come. Or I'm saying, hey, I have this really great program and here's why you would want it. Or I'm saying, hey, I'm doing a webinar and you should sign up and here's why. Or, hey, so they're promo posts. Okay, so that's the first thing that I see. People are coming online into Facebook groups, and I have to understand, right, that the definition of a Facebook group is really a community. This is the one thing I talk about a lot. How many of you have heard me talk about the difference between an audience and a community? Have any of you heard me talk about that? So an audience is like, and both are good, and you need both for your business, right? An audience is one-to-one, me to you. That's basically the equivalent of like me being on stage and people are sitting down and they're watching me. I can talk to you. You can let me know what you think, right, about what I say, but you guys aren't all in the audience like talking to each other, right? That's an audience. Well, that's like a Facebook business page, right? So a Facebook business page is like an audience. There I am, and I'm posting things out to you guys, and then you guys can comment, but what's really difficult on a Facebook business page is to comment to each other, right? So people will say, so, okay, we'll talk about 2 things, right? We'll talk about Facebook business pages real quick. So that's what a Facebook business page is, right? That's just you putting out information about your business, about what's going on to your audience, and your audience can interact and kind of let you know what they think, but that's not a community, right? That's just an audience. There are pros and cons we're going to get to with those, but at the end of the day, a Facebook business page is just anyway, right? I think they've gotten down, this is not the exact percentage, but I'm not kidding, it's close. I just don't have it in front of me right now. It's 0.0000003513. It was something like that percent of organic reach, meaning however many people like your business page, that percentage of them will see that you posted on your business page. Does that sound good to you? Because that sounds terrible to me, right? Facebook doesn't prioritize anything that you're doing on your business page, right? And we all know why. There've been all these articles and all this stuff about it. And so anyway, right? But that, I say that to show you the difference between a group and a business page. Now, why does it matter? Because in a Facebook group like this one, what's happening is a lot of people are going into groups and they're using groups the same way they would a business page, right? So how do you guys use groups? Like, again, comment, like write your answers in the comments and let me know. But a lot of people then come into Facebook groups and they're using groups in the same way that they do a business page. So again, when I asked, so I did this whole market research thing, right? Which is why I'm sharing all these results with you in these posts this week and in this video. And I asked everybody, I said, hey, like, you're saying Facebook doesn't work. You're saying specifically Facebook groups don't work. What are you doing in Facebook groups? And they're like, posting a couple of times a week. Cool. It's not enough, but what are you posting? And then they're like, basically promo posts, advertising their specials, advertising their stuff, saying we're having a networking meeting at this time at this day, we're having this event at this time and this day, right? Those are promo posts. That's not the same type of thing. Not that you don't do promo posts in a community, we'll talk about that, but that's not the same way that you use a community, right? So and that's just promoting. That's not creating real, authentic relationships. Now, the thing about coming at your business from a relationship-focused approach is that it takes a little longer, right? It takes a little longer to grow and build your business through a relationship-focused approach. However, it will net you way bigger results and it will be more sustainable. In fact, right, there's something called social dollars. Now, there's a whole definition to that that's bigger than this, but people who are part of a community that you've created are like 19% more likely to buy your products and services. So remember, a Facebook page isn't a community, but something like this, the All-In Entrepreneur, is a community. Right now, there's way more to it. That's another whole training. That's something that I help my clients with, knowing how to talk about their knowing how to talk about their audience, or knowing how to talk to their community, right? All this stuff. So that's a difference, right? So people will come into a community treating it like they would an audience and wondering why they're not getting results, right? But here are some real ways, right? They take longer, but the payoff will be bigger. And again, it's not just because of the social dollars and the fact that people who like engage with you in a community you create are 19% more likely, but also people that engage with you in a community as a whole will have these deeper kind of trusting relationships with you, right? So without you guys answering, right, I'm just gonna have to like keep talking, but I want you guys to chime in whenever you can, right? So I'll say, okay, so you're only doing promo posts, cool. We need to change that. We need to change how you're showing up in the group. It's got to be about a bigger goal than just your business, right? You have to show up in a Facebook group in a way that's about more than what you do. Right? The reason that people are all in a Facebook group together is because they share a common, in fact, that's the definition of community. The definition of community is that people share a common goal or a common agenda, right? So people share something in common and they're working towards like this common goal or agenda together, or they're in the same situation in life and they want to come together and like share, right? So when you're showing up in a Facebook group, right, and it's only about your business, you're only promoting, or you're only doing educational based content around what you do, right, you're neglecting to show up as a true community member. Does that make sense? You're still showing up as like an advertiser of your business, okay? So we want to show up completely differently. And so how could you do that? And I use the All-In Entrepreneur as an example. So I'm going to give some examples through the All-In Entrepreneur. Okay, so show up in the group, right? And the first thing is introduce yourself. I know so many of you have not introduced yourself to the group, and like introducing yourself once in a group that has thousands of people, right? That's not gonna cut it. You've got to introduce yourself multiple times, right? So people know who you are. But when you introduce yourself, don't just talk about what you do, right? And the best way to introduce yourself is through a video. So get on a video, say, hey everyone, tell people why you're excited to be part of that community. So again, we're talking about the Facebook group specifically, and we're gonna use the All-In Entrepreneur as the example. Do a live video today. Go online and say, hey everyone, this is Rita. I am so excited to be a member. You need to say those words. I am so excited to be a member. Just kidding. But like, I'm excited to be a member of the All-In Entrepreneur. And here's what I'm looking forward to the most, right? Here's what I'm looking forward to the most in this group, or here's what I'm hoping to get out of my time in this community, or here are the types of people I'm looking to connect with, or here's why I'm here, right? So let people know that. That's the first thing that you can do to start building authentic relationships. It's like, and Matt, what's kind of funny to me is that people treat the online space very differently than they would in person. right? Some people. So people will go into a, like, think about a room, right? You go to like a networking event, you go to a room. The first thing you do would be to walk in the room and go, hi, everybody, my name is Rita. I'm a business coach and I sell these things and here are my packages, right? Like, you wouldn't just walk into a room and say, I'm having an event on Saturday night, like it's your first words out of your mouth, right? Hey, everyone, I'm having an event on Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Like, you just walked into this room with these people, right? You would walk around the room, you would talk to people, you would say hi, you would ask about them, you would listen, you would whatever, and then maybe at some point you would say, hey, like, I'm having an event. You might be curious, you might be interested in that event, right? So start thinking about these Facebook groups the same way you would like in person. Like, if you were walking into a room full of people in person, how would you behave, right? What would be the first things be that you would do? So introduce yourself to people, do a video. If you don't want to do a video, do a post, but don't just do it once and then think, okay, I introduced myself. Like, we've talked about this before. It takes 5 times for people to see something once on Facebook, right? It takes 12 times before people start interacting or remembering with something, right? So if it takes 5 times for people to see it once, right? And not everybody's going to see it. It's just the people that happen to see it, right? You have to introduce yourself a lot, right? But then also comment on other people's introductions. There are people in groups, especially here in the All In Entrepreneur, who take time to introduce themselves. They're doing a short video or they're doing a post and they're like, hey everyone, I'm an entrepreneur. I just started my business. This is really great to have a community like this. I'm really looking forward to blah, blah, blah. Don't just read the post and scroll by it, right? That's not building a real authentic relationship either, right? But what you should do is, like, engage, right? Like, comment, hi, welcome, it's so great, like, and then take it a step further. And this is something I've talked about too. You might want to set up a connection call, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But I mean, already, how many of you have actually taken time to introduce yourself in the All In Entrepreneur? If you have, type yes. If you haven't, type no. And if you're watching on replay, let me know that too, right? Have you, have you? Tell me, right? Have you? I want to know. And if you haven't, will you, right? If you haven't introduced yourself, right, will you introduce yourself? So that's the first thing. Introduce and go through, see who's taken time to introduce themselves, say hi to them, right? Now, again, this is where the mindset of coming into a group for your business really hurts you, because people are like, well, Rita, I do, but I'm not seeing people who could be my potential clients. The people who are, I'm scrolling through the feed, and the people who are introducing themselves, they don't make good potential clients for me. So I'm not going to waste my time. And like, again, right? This is about building real, authentic relationships and being part of a community. And I'm going to tell you how that will pay off tenfold for you in your business, right? So Michelle said, yeah, like a long time ago when I did a challenge, right? Like, make that like a recurring thing, Michelle. Introduce yourself like every month, or, introduce yourself every quarter, or introduce yourself more frequently, right? And you might do it in a video one way and a post another way. But keep that going, right? You can't, it's not a one and done, right? Like, that's just not the way Facebook works. So introduce yourself and then engage on other people's introductions. But again, back to the coming into a Facebook group for purposes of building my business mentality, instead of being a member of a community, right? Being a member of a community is actually going to give you more results than if you approach Facebook from building my business, right? So building your business are the people who come in and they do the promo posts. They're doing educational posts about what they do, right? So like, we see all those, I do those kinds of posts, right? We see those kinds of posts, the tips and the resources and the things that are about what they do. And they have calls to action for their business. And maybe they're introducing themselves, but they're talking about their business. Hi, I'm Rita, and I own XYZ company, and this is what I do, and I can't wait to get to know you. And if you know somebody who, right? We all see those posts, right? But the better way to introduce yourself is like, hey, I'm Rita. Like, I'm a solopreneur, but I'm also a wife, and I have a puppy, and I live in Northern Virginia, and like, I'm kind of overwhelmed by building business, and I'm looking for information on this, and I'm hoping to connect with people who have this kind of personality, and I would love to like find an accountability partner and blah, 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 right? Like, not even really talking about what you do. Right? Don't lead with that. You can say it in the video, but like, don't lead with that, right? Because that's not why you should really be in a community, like this, right? And people are going to pay attention to you more because it's more authentic and it's more real. So then as people like start to get to know you, right, guess what? They're going to want to get to know what you do. They're going to want to get to know more about you, right? So that's just one way. Like, introduce yourself, right? Like, hello, but who you are, not what you do, right? You're introducing yourself as a member of a community, not your business, because you're not your business page, right? And then engage on other people's. But this also takes me to other people's posts. So I ask people who say that they're posting their own posts in my group, so educational or promotional posts. I say, cool, are you engaging on other people's posts? And they're like, no. Because these aren't my clients, Rita. Again, these aren't my clients, or I don't see anybody who makes a good client, or like there's nothing about what I do. So I used the example of if I was an accountant, okay, if I was an accountant and I was looking through posts in the All-In Entrepreneur, but only for posts that were asking about financial advice or money advice or accounting advice or whatever, right? And maybe I'm engaging on those, but I'm skipping everything else. Again, that's coming at Facebook groups, especially, in like the wrong way, right? So here's how to get noticed in a really wonderful way that will be more powerful for your business. Take some time, like I carve out 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon to go into, you know, Facebook groups. And I'll scroll through just the most recent posts, right? Because you obviously can't scroll through everything, right? But I'll scroll through my most recent posts that are coming up on the feed of that group. And I'll say like, oh, well, what can I answer? And it's anything, right? Like anything I have a legitimate answer for. So maybe there's a landscaper who wants to, my computer is like doing all these updates and all this stuff. It's really annoying. Just out of the blue. Maybe there's a landscaper and they want to know a good copy place, right? Well, a landscaper is not going to be my client, but I'm still going to take time to comment on the landscaper's post and say, hey, I see you're in this area and I know such and such is a really great copy place and I would love to introduce you to. Is that okay, right? So engaging in things that exceed what your business is about. Maybe somebody's just like, I've had a really bad day and like I really don't know how to flip out of this mindset, and you're like, oh, I've had a mindset like that before, I know how to flip out of it. And maybe this person is not your ideal client. Still engage on it, right? Here's the thing, and then you know how other people do educational posts, right? They do their tips and they do, here's my biggest pet peeve, okay? I'm going to announce like my biggest pet peeve at all, right, in Facebook land and Facebook groups, okay? People will take time and they're wonderful. If you really read these posts that people are writing, people are like, oh, it's kind of long, too long. Don't read posts that are long. But then I'll say, well, is your business doing well? No. Well, that post just contains the answer to what's blocking you in your business. But because it would take you 2 minutes to read, you didn't read it, right? That's not my biggest pet peeve, though. My biggest pet peeve are these educational posts that people will do and then people comment, right? But people will comment in a non-substantive way. So what do I mean? Maybe I do a post saying, hey guys, here are 10 ways to love the sales process. Here are 10 ways to love the sales process, right? Tell me, what do you love most about selling, right? So I'll write this big post, it'll give people tips, and then it'll ask a question at the end, like, what's the one thing you love the most about selling? And then people will comment, but they'll comment, love this, way to go, great, hearts, smiley faces, right? That is in no way substantively responding to like what I asked, which is like, what do you love most about the sales process, right? So the people who actually take the time to tell me what they love most about the sales process are going to be people I remember, right? And people I pay attention to and people I'm going to be curious to know more about. Well, sure, it's nice to hear great post, way to go, love this. Those aren't the people that are popping out in my head as people that I want to have deeper connected relationships to, right? So when you're seeing people do these posts, take time, like carve a little bit of time. It's networking, right? Carve a little bit of time out of your day and like read some of these posts and just comment, even if the post isn't like something that would show that that person's an ideal client. I'm going to tell you why here in a minute, right? Just take time to be a member of a community, engaging with other members of the community. So read their post and then answer the actual legit question that they, that they asked in their, in their posts, right? Here's the thing, when you're showing up in that way, when you're introducing yourself, when you are welcoming new people to the group, when you are engaging in a substantive way in other people's posts, when you are giving referrals and recommendations for all kinds of things that come up, guess what? You're visible, right? Your little picture, right? We all know how it works. Your little picture just keeps like popping up and popping up and popping up and popping up, right? And people see, but people see more than just you popping up. They see you popping up in a really valuable way. Wow, she's giving really good connections and resources. Wow, she's sharing articles that could really help us in our businesses that have nothing to do with what she does for a living. Wow, she's welcoming all these people. Wow, look at her like cheering people on. Look at her you know, giving like substantive answers, and wow, it's so interesting, right? Do you see the difference? Like when you show up in that way, you will be 20 times more visible by everybody, right? Whereas if you're only showing up to post about your business or to post educational posts about what you do, or to only comment on posts that could potentially get you a client, right? You're just like trying to show up for the sake of being visible by liking posts and cheering people on and all of that, right? You're not going to show up in the same way to people. People just aren't going to remember you as much, right? Now, here's the really interesting thing. It's amazing how when you show up and you're super visible in Facebook groups, people that want to learn more about you, even if they're not the one, like I could be completely silent, lurking in a Facebook group, and I'll see Michelle, and Michelle's doing everything I said. She's introducing herself, she's welcoming people, she's commenting on all kinds of posts with real like good information that's helping people. She's commenting on other people's educational posts, providing her thoughts and her answers, right? And so she's doing all of that, right? And me, quiet me, in this Facebook group, to Singer, really likes the way she shows up, right? Really loves the help she's giving other people. So I'll click on her name, and guess where it takes me? Over to her personal Facebook page. So on your personal Facebook page, make sure that you have like something under your photo about where you work or whatever, so people can click and find out more about what you do, right? But I'll start looking and finding out more about her, right? And then guess what will happen? When Michelle does go to put promo posts or her own educational posts, I am more likely, as is everybody else that she did that for, to comment on her posts, right? To really engage on her posts, right? Do you see how that works? Are you guys following along, right? So that's like a really great way to show up in a Facebook group. Is it's got to be about the bigger vision of the community. It's got to be about the other members of the community. It's got to be about lifting them up in a way that far exceeds like what you do, right? And it's about more than just doing your own educational posts or your own promo posts for your events and your services and things like that. It's about more than just saying love this, or liking other people's posts. It's about engaging with them in a real way, giving real value that can help them beyond what you do in their business, and just being visible in that way, so that you know, so that you're visible and remembered in that way. Guys following me? Does that make sense? I'm getting comments, but I'm gonna have to look at my phone. I'm looking. So I got one message saying, okay, Rita, I get it. I'll introduce myself. Okay, Rita, get it. I'll introduce myself. Okay, so that's one thing, right? That's one way to show up and be in a Facebook group. The other thing is to take that to the next level. How many of you have ever done connection calls with people in Facebook groups? I'm curious. Like 10-minute Zoom video-based connection calls, yes or no? Yes, no? Going once, going twice. So I'm gonna take that as a no. I'm gonna take that as a no, right? Like, guys, connection calls are so good, right? And here's what I mean. Not about getting clients, right? Think about like somebody who's shown up in a way that you really like in a Facebook group, even if they can't be your client. Does anybody come to mind? Anybody that you just love how they show up in a Facebook group that you're in? They probably wouldn't even be a good client for you. You just love how they show up. Anybody come to mind like that? Anybody? Go once. So let me see. There's another. Yes. Okay. So when you know somebody who shows up in that way that you like, reach out to them. I get messages like this all the time. Right now, I can't talk to everybody, but I definitely get messages saying, and it's not about selling, right? It's genuinely people saying, Rita, oh my gosh, I see you in XX group. I really love the posts that you put out. I love the content that you're giving. I love how you show up and engage with others. I love how you're so supportive. I would love to just be surrounded by other powerful women in my life. And I would love to have a connection call with you just to learn more about you and your business. Right? And it's legitimately about that. It's not about selling me anything. It's not about anything like that, right? It's about just connecting with me and learning more. And then of course, I want to connect with them and learn more, right? So start factoring in connection calls, again, that have nothing to do with that person becoming your client or a customer, but really you just like how they show up, right? Because it gives you a chance to learn about someone's business and for them to learn about you, again, in an authentic, meaningful way about building relationships. And when you build that kind of relationship, you're more likely to find avenues for referrals and collaborations and opportunities, right? So that's another way to like show up in Facebook, right? Michelle says, yes, when fascinated with someone, you never know what they'll have in common or how we can collaborate or refer each other. Yeah, absolutely, right? So then, right, you can also then start looking for that, for collaborations, right? Start noticing who in groups share the same audience as you, but in a different way, right? Right, does that make sense? So like, I'm trying to think of an example. So Esther Boykin, who you guys have all maybe met or seen before, she's a therapist, right? And she's a therapist for entrepreneurs, and completely different than what I do, right? And she's like a relationship therapist, right? But we serve the same market, right? Entrepreneurial women. And so we found a way then to collab. So I loved how she showed up. We served the same market, right? So we have the same audience. And so we reached out kind of to each other. And before we knew it, right, we're doing lives together, we're doing videos together, we're running a retreat together, right? So start noticing like who is showing up, right, in your space that serves the same target audience, which is why knowing your target audience is so important. And then connect to find out more about them. Hi, Sarah, hello, right? Connect to find out more about them, right? And then you might find those cross collaboration kind of opportunities. So look for that too. Another great thing are Facebook groups. So I was talking to a client about this earlier. Other Facebook groups, right, that have your audience, right, that have your audience, again, that are the organizers of that group, that means they have the same audience as you, right? So like if there's another group run by, I don't know, a social media manager, like Lisa, you guys all know Lisa Nichols, she's very active here. Lisa Nichols runs Social Visibility Society for women entrepreneurs, right? We have the same audience, but we do completely different things. So let's pretend I didn't know Lisa. Then I would message Lisa and I would say, I would love to learn more about your business. I would love to learn more about your group and your community. I work with people and I have a community that I think would be really interested in your community and in your business and in what you do. I just want to find out more, right? So that I know if I can refer them, if it does make sense, like all of this stuff, right? Like, so that's the way I would approach it, and then have a connection call with them so that I'm able to just do that. They might not even ask about me right then. That's fine, right? But the way I see a lot of people doing it, the way I get approached is, hey, Rita, I see that your audience is the same as mine. I would love to come into the All In Entrepreneur one day and do a video about blah, 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 or be interviewed by you to blah, blah, blah. Do you see the difference in that approach? Right? Do you see the difference in that approach for collaboration? Where somebody who doesn't know me messages me and says, hey, Rita, I see we have the same audience. I would really love to come in and do a video on this or educate your community about this or have you interview me on your podcast or on your live or blah, blah, blah. That gets like, I mean, it's not that it gets no response from me, but that definitely gets like a different kind of response from me than the person who would message me going, hey, Rita, oh my gosh, I'm in your group. I notice your community. They're really engaged. I love how you run it. I love the way you show up. Like, I would love to learn more about your business. I also work with people who I think would be interested in learning about you as a business coach, Rita, who would be interested in learning about your community, right? I would love to refer more people here. So I'd love to just have like a bigger talk with you, right? About you, and you're like, I'm going to respond to that person more favorably, and I'm going to schedule a call with them. And then on that call, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask about them. Tell me about you. Tell me about what you do. Tell me about who you serve, right? And I will find out in a natural, organic way, right? That's the best way to approach people online, whether they're blog writers or they're other group leaders or whoever, right? Other professions or whatever, for collaboration, is make it authentically lead where it's just about them. I genuinely can refer people to your community. We do share the same audience. I would love to know more in case this is something I want to tell people about, right? That's got to be my #1 priority. It's like bonus, gravy, icing on the cake if we can then refer or collaborate or do something bigger, right? Does that make sense? So those are the ways to really be approaching people. For that, it's got to be, so remember when I said at the beginning, that communities, right, people who are a member of a community that you created, so that's like the little caveat, that you created, are like more likely, right, to purchase from you and spend more money with you. But the reason you create the community can't be for that purpose. So if I had created the All-In Entrepreneur for the sole purpose of getting clients and making money, this community would have failed, right? I had to have a bigger reason for why I was creating this community. And it's just a byproduct of it that then I sell, right? And I get clients from this. There's a bigger mission. There's a bigger vision, right? Well, that's the way you need to approach your time and membership in groups. So if you're just joining, right, I went into detail about ways to participate in a group that may be different than the ways that you're showing up in a Facebook group. Why you want to start participating in Facebook groups over like a business page, right? Don't message people in DMs about your products and services, right? Like, don't just message people and say, hey, Rita, like, I'd love to talk to you about my eye cream. I had this once happen. I saw your Facebook Live, you know, I would love to talk to you about your eye cream. What? Like, I don't want to talk to you about your eye cream, even though I know I need some eye cream. Like, I don't want to talk to you about your eye cream, right? But like, people are coming at, again, just coming at it from growing your business from the place of getting a client or getting a sale or getting a customer, and come at it from learning about somebody you are genuinely interested in because of the way that they show up. And that will lead you to more each and every time. But then also be that person, right? Because when you show up, like I said, to just actually substantively answer other people's educational posts that they're doing, right? No matter what those are about, right? When you give them referrals and resources, when you welcome them, when they do an introduction post, when you do all of this, you just get more visible. You're popping up, but you're popping up in a way that if people aren't like, gosh, she just keeps talking about her business all the time. You're popping up in a way that people are like, wow, she's so valuable and she's really giving good information and like all of this stuff, right? And now I want to get to know more about her. Well, then that's the way you approach people too. For connection calls, it's like they may not be a good client fit for you at all, but you love the way they show up. Cool, get on the phone, the video for 10 minutes, learn about them, right? They're gonna wanna learn about you, and you never know what opportunities exist there, but make that like part of your routine, right? And then for collaborations, right, people who run other groups or other things, like, come at it from, I can help you. I have people that will be interested in you, right? I would love to know what I can do to learn more, to see if I can send people to you. And that's got to be like the leading motivation. And then people will want to know more about you, right? Does that make sense? And then utilize the free resources online to build your business. So now this is more than just relationship building. This is like actually using the resources. The Facebook Lives like this, show up, but don't just watch. I mean, I know a lot of you are sitting there, I see the number, right? A lot of you are seeing their, you know, watching, but like participate, comment, right? Like answer the questions. Again, by you interacting with me, you might say something that resonates with somebody else watching, whether they're watching on replay or they're watching whatever, and that will make them want to learn more about you. And maybe that person will be a good client for you, or maybe there's some other reason why you cross their path, but you won't cross their path if you're not commenting and engaging on things like this, right? The live, like, but there's so many different ways to get visible. Participating in a challenge in a group is another way, right? Yes, you might learn substantively the stuff that you're supposed to learn from the challenge, right, which can help your business, but also by participating in it, you will be more visible. You will be sharing things about your business and about you, and that might make somebody else want to make a connection with you, right? So take all of those opportunities to show up in real, authentic ways. And yes, obviously I allow selling in the group. Show up and sell, show up and promote, but that's not the way you make real, authentic connections. Does this make sense? So do you see how, like, this is a longer road, right? I'm reaching out to people that may not even be a fit. They might not even be an entrepreneur. I just like the way they show up in some group and I want to learn more about them, right? But I promise you that it will pay off like tenfold if you come at it from this way. But unfortunately, right, a lot of people are just hopping into like Facebook groups and online spaces to post their own educational stuff. Sometimes they're having their assistants post it, right? Which that doesn't help you at all because you're not seeing anything that happens in that group, right? And they're not coming back to comment on the comments on their post, or they're not engaging, or they're only posting their own posts and engaging in comments on their posts, but they're not commenting on other people's posts. And again, when I say commenting, I mean in a substantive way. Answer the questions they're asking. Don't just say, yay, love this is so good, right? Like this, again, that actually gives you the negative attention, not the positive attention that you think it's getting you, right? So how can you show up differently online today? Maybe let's practice in the All-In Entrepreneur. What's a way that you can show up differently today in the All-In Entrepreneur? What's something that you guys are gonna do? Anything? Anything? Going once. All right, you guys are being super silent. See what I'm saying? Like, this is one of the great answer. The more you answer, the more your name shows up, the more your name and your photos show up in just meaningful, authentic, real ways, in lives, in comments, in challenges, in all of the things, the more people are going to want to click on you and find out about you, right? And find out what you do, and you never know who's watching, guys. So that's my whole point, right? So anyway, if you're watching on replay, I hope that this was helpful. Go to the post that I posted Monday and Tuesday and today, and then tomorrow and Friday as well, because I'm giving real tips about how you can actually build your business just from using everything that's here in the All-In Entrepreneur. So I detail out how you can make these connections, right? What you should, I list options for you to do. I tell you how you could show up differently to actually make these real relationships and get meaningful connections. I talk about all the resources that are here that will allow you to both grow your business through the substantive learning, but also, again, it's just another avenue and another opportunity to be visible, right? And then start thinking about collaborations the way that I talk about too, right? How you approach people that have your same audience. Switch your approach, talk about it differently. It will have you maybe even think about who you approach differently. So Sam says she's gonna show up more here. Susie's gonna introduce herself. I love it, I'm so glad. Guys, I would love to know what you're gonna do differently. If you're watching it on replay, put it below. I know this is a little shorter than my lives, but I have a client call right after this, so I've gotta head out. But also, if weekdays like lunch hour work better for you for Facebook Lives, let me know, because I'm hoping to maybe show up at a time that more people are able to be here. So that's all, guys. Take care. I can't wait to see how you show up in the All-In Entrepreneur differently. Start building those relationships. If you have a question, message me, let me know, and I'll talk to y'all later.